Okay, this is the Astro Observers April 2021 observing highlights. And first is me, and I only had one night, guys. So you guys know as well as I do, April wasn't as good as March. Too bad.
Well, I only had one night, and it was the same night.
Same night with me. Yeah, and I did a 2-scope night. I figured, well, if I'm only going to get one night in, I'm going to take 2 scopes. And I had the Orion's Optics UK 12-inch f4 and the Bresser 8.2 f3.9 on the go-to mount, which was pretty cool to do. It was neat to do. Was you punch in, an object for the go-to, and the 8.2 would go to it like that, and then of course track it, and it was just it was perfect that night. And then that gave me time to go to the bigger scope to track down a galaxy, whatever. So it was pretty neat. It was also interesting too, because I mentioned in Galaxy Log about this, was comparing the 2 scopes on the same galaxy at similar magnifications, and aperture wins. That's all there's to it. I mean, both scopes have really great optics. Orion's Optics UK, I paid for, their premium optics, but I'll tell you, that Bresser though, that thing has some really nice optics in it. And but it was interesting to see that. But yeah, aperture wins. There's no doubt about it. So my first view of the night, I like to do that. Just go to some of the low power eyepiece, and and something familiar, just to test the night. And of course Rob was with me, and it wasn't as transparent as early on as some of those nights we had back in March.
Yeah.
But it got better as the night went on. I think it did. The scene was good, but it was pretty neat to put the Leo trio in the 8.2, and just with a 20mm plots, which was like 47 power, and just get a nice view of the Leo trio. So that was my first view of the night. Then not too far from the Leo trio, and I did it for Galaxy Log here, so I have a near view image, and I have also a photograph. It's west of the Leo trio. It's NGC 3593, and this is with a 12-inch with a 6mm eyepiece. And this is really the galaxy. It's kind of overshadowed by the Leo trio, because everybody, whether you're using a go-to scope or if it's just you're just searching for galaxies or whatever, Leo trio is always one to go for. And this one kind of gets left out. And this is just west of the Leo trio, and you can see that it's about 30 million light years away, which puts it out around a similar distance to the Leo trio. So I don't think it's an outer member, but it's out in that ballpark. And you can see here I have there's the near view image. And it was interesting. It had a nice little stellar nucleus. It's nice and elongated going east to west. A fairly large core area. And one thing I noticed north of the core, and you can see it in the photograph here, there's some dark dust and debris, some star clouds here. And I was seeing it as modeling. And I could tell that north of the core, there was a little bit more mottled than the other part of the galaxy, where it was more smooth. So it was interesting. I was picking up some of this structure right up in here that you see in this nice photograph. But yeah, I mentioned a Galaxy Log for people who are going to go visit the Leo trio to stop off on, also to see this guy, because it's a really nice galaxy. It just gets overshadowed by the Leo trio, which is east of this galaxy. Then in Draco, really nice edge on galaxy, NGC 3735. And I have, here's the magnitude here, it's 11.8. Surface brightness, it's not bad, 13. This is with an 8mm eyepiece, which gave me 150 power. And saw a nice stellar core, very nice, a nice elongation to it. Really stretches out well, and it is modeled. But it's a really nice galaxy to go for. It's not overly bright, but And you can see it in smaller scopes, but the 12 did a really good job on this galaxy. It really looked beautiful. And then as I was messing with the 12, going for galaxy after galaxy and stuff, I just poked in M63 with the 8.2 and just had a 9mm eyepiece in there. And if you see, this is Frank's newest image, and I put it over for the wide field and the capture of what the field of view is with the 9mm on a sky survey. Frank's image is great of M63, and you know, with the 8.2, I was seeing some nice structure with it. Of course, this thing's noted to be really modeled because there's so much going on in this galaxy. You know, bright little stellar nucleus, just a great galaxy to go for, and for people who are just getting into astronomy and into deep space astronomy, into galaxy observing. This is definitely one to go for. Really a great galaxy. Then in Virgo, really a nice bright galaxy. This is a really neat region. This is southwest of M87. Really a nice region for a lot of nice galaxies. And this one here is 4429. And here's the survey image of it here. And it really takes off in a telescope with really any magnification. I mean, I didn't have to use really high magnification to really bring this thing out. I thought it was really neat because the way it's situated between two fairly bright stars. It's a little brighter. It's a little closer to the northern star. But here's my near view image. This is with the 8.2 again, and gave me a little stellar nucleus. A little bit of structure in it. You can see some light variations within the core area and the outer part of it. So it's really a cool galaxy to go for. And its distance. Yeah, go ahead, Josh.
On that ring,
on
the right side of that ring, on that picture on the right side, there's like a bright area, like a bulge.
Right.
Noticeable. I wonder if you got some really good transparent sky with the large optic.
Larger optics, yeah. I think you can see that. Yeah.
Unique structure within.
Yeah. Because it's a bright galaxy. Its 10th magnitude is a high surface brightness. It's fairly large.
Yeah.
I have no doubt with a large telescope, say, 15-inch plus, this thing, even the 12. I didn't go for it at 12. Just with the 8.2. And but yeah, I think you're right. I think with a large scope on a really good night and really push the magnification, I think you'll see a lot of internal structure, what you see in that photograph there.
Yeah.
But it was like on the verge what I was seeing, even with the 8.2. So, but yeah, it's really a great galaxy. It really is. And it's funny because in Virgo, in the cluster itself, there's so much to go for, and of course a lot of times you go for the heart, and see all the maybe 4 or 5 galaxies at one time, but to individually go for one of those galaxies, one of the brighter galaxies, is pretty neat to do. And this is one that stands out really well. Then later at night, one for a globular cluster in Boötes, and it's an interesting globular cluster. It's very sparse, but it's large. It's very big, and with the 8.2, even at 78 power, I started resolving some stars. Now I think with high magnification, you'll start resolving with this size telescope. You'll start resolving a little bit more stars. In a large telescope, you can really start seeing a lot of stars. It really resolves it well.
Yeah, I looked at this that night too.
Yeah, yeah.
Remember, I think I was telling you, I said it was almost as if you could count the stars.
Right.
That's how sparse it is.
Yeah.
Like I was sitting there, you could look at the space between the stars.
Yep.
It was really incredible.
Yep.
I have this on mine. I'll skip over it real fast.
No, we'll talk about it.
I have one other thing to add to it, but I'll wait till I put it up.
Okay.
And that's a globular?
That's a globular cluster, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
That is interesting.
Yeah, it's really neat at low magnification wide field, like this was kind of But you can see it's a large globe. And with this magnification, I was definitely resolving some stars. I know even with this size telescope, if I probably pushed it up, maybe double the magnification of what I have here, I'd have been able to resolve more stars. But it was just a really pretty view with this wider field. And like I said, because it is big, it just really looked nice. It really looked nice. And then I have a plan for May for one object I definitely want to go for, and that's ARP 84. I have not seen this thing for a long time. In fact, the only notes I could find on it is back from our old DS1 site with the 12.5 back in the 90s, or in the early part of the 90s. And, you know, I could see the main galaxy, which is 5395 here, which stands out well. The other galaxy here, 5394, is definitely fainter. But in a large telescope from a dark site, you can see structure. You can actually see structure and the arms. So that's my plan. So for May, to get to a very good dark site with the 22 and get this guy. And well, definitely, if that comes to fruition, I will definitely do it in my Galaxy log. But this is definitely my plan for May. This is my #1 objects to go for, is ARP 84. So I don't know if any of you guys ever seen it before.
Not that I can recall.
Yeah, I'll have to check. I'm not sure.
Yeah. And of course, you know, being in Canoes of an Odyssey, it's going to be, you know, almost directly overhead. So it's a lot less atmosphere, and, you know, and so you can really play with magnification. So I'm certainly that the big scopes that we have will bring out some really nice detail in this. So definitely it's my main objective for May. Cross my fingers that we get a clear night in May.
Yeah.
But this will be my main objective. This is a beautiful image. This was imaged by the Gemini North Telescope in Hawaii. Almost looks like a Hubble.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's it for me.
All righty.
Yeah, Rob.
Get mine up here. How's that look? Can you see it?
Yep, looks good.
All right. So this is the same night and the same location and the same telescope that I used last dark window. So the first object that I did, Karl, you pointed this out to me. I've seen it before, but I didn't really see it in as much detail, is this NGC 4449 in Cosmos of an Odyssey. And this is a really cool object to look at. I was kind of mesmerized by it. You know, first of all, you can see it's an irregular galaxy, and the shape of it, you know, it's just rectangular like that. But you could really see all these, I guess these are like H2 regions up here. A lot of bright spots in the core of the galaxy too. Some of these are over exposed by the photo, but you could see them a little better visually. And the thing that I liked about this was you could see this little corner sticking down like this. Now, I can't say that I could see this far out to this edge, but this part sticking down was very noticeable. So there was just a lot going on for the eye to roam around and see. It's a bright galaxy, 9th magnitude, but all of these H2 regions and bright spots in the core of that galaxy are very visible. And then you have a lot of this diffuse wispiness that showed, and the conditions were okay. They weren't great, but you know, this is a galaxy if we went down to West Virginia in May, this would be at the top of my list just to see how much of this wispiness out here
Yep.
I could pick up.
Yep.
I'd almost like to see, if we got down to West Virginia in May, I'd probably go back to a lot of the same objects that I viewed the last 2 times out.
Yep.
Just to compare
skies,
them, just to, since they're fresh in my mind and we've talked about them and written them up. But yeah, this one was really good. And like you were saying about Congressman Odyssey, it was located pretty high up. So I had a really decent view of it. And it was the kind of night to go for a little brighter objects. I mean, you could go deep, but not real deep. So I went for this one because I could get a lot of detail out of it. So I'd recommend that. That was a real good one. All right, so then I did this 5466 too, as you said. So I don't have much more to say about this other than what we already talked about. The only thing that was cool was I was curious about the sparseness of it. So I read up on it a little bit, and it's one of these globs that as it's moving around the galaxy, there's gravitational forces pulling on it. So every time it makes a pass around the galaxy, stars are being pulled out of it. So
that's why it's like that.
Yeah, so that's why it's so sparse, which is kind of cool. Do you think?
Yeah, it is.
And there's a lot you could read up on it. I think we had a speaker at a meeting a few years ago. It talked about these streams in the galaxy,
Right.
from other galaxies passing through. And I think that this kind of like rides in on that stream or something.
Right.
It's interesting reading, but anyway, that's why it's so sparse. But it was a really cool object to look at. I mean, I looked at it under all kinds of higher magnification.
Yeah, a lot higher than I used.
Yeah, and it was really fun to look at.
Yeah.
But then I went into Boötes. I couldn't find. Well, here I'll show you. Found this galaxy in Boötes 5529. There's an article, and I couldn't track it down. I even looked for it this week. In one of the Astronomy Now magazines, either 17 or 18, but I checked all the ones I have. Anyway, they were talking about that Boötes is an overlooked constellation for galaxies. And I remember going through a lot of galaxies in Boötes last year or the year before. Even I remember up at DS4b, we were observing up there one night like 2 years ago, and Doc and I were going back into galaxies in Boötes. But this one is really neat. I could not see like any kind of stellar nucleus on it, but you could see some modeling in there. It's a pretty, it's a bright galaxy, 12th magnitude, and it's kind of neat. It points right to these 3 field stars. So it really makes a nice visual image, and, it's just a bright edge on it. It's kind of, I think maybe a little bit of an underlooked galaxy.
Yeah.
And then this, I believe this is, what do I have down there? 5527. This is like a 14th magnitude galaxy. I don't have it in my notes that I saw, but I think I did. I mean, there shouldn't have been any reason I didn't see it. It was, certainly good enough that night to pick up 14th magnitude galaxies. And somehow in my memory, I think I remember seeing it, but I didn't note it in my log. So I'll have to check it out again. But it's a really cool edge on. I really like the view. I have no idea what this guy is here. I didn't see anything on any sky charts that listed anything other than this 5527.
Give me a month to work on it. I'll let you know.
There you go. You'll probably pick up 2 more that aren't even in this image. And then the next one I went to was in Virgo, and this galaxy blew my mind. This image that I'm going to show you doesn't do it justice. Go search online for images of this galaxy. I should have put one of the brighter ones up here, 4452. It's a gas. It's a really bright galaxy. It's 11th magnitude. I don't know if I can enlarge my screen or not. It doesn't look like I can. I'm kicking myself for not picking up a bigger image of it. It's really just a white streak. The whole galaxy is just a white streak, and it's bright. It's very hard to even delineate where the center of the galaxy is, where the core of the galaxy is. It's just like this bright streak in the sky. What do I have down here? Oh, Carl, this was one that was not, it was near that 4371.
Right.
Yeah. So I think this is this, we identified this as IC 3381. Didn't you look at this that night too?
I did. I did a galaxy log on this, and
Okay.
And actually, I actually had at the same time I was looking at 4429 with the 8.2. This is when I caught with the 12-inch. This, but what's
Okay.
interesting though, Rob, I talked about it in Galaxy Log that it was beautiful in the 12-inch like that. And I went back and I was looking at a chart. So I'm thinking this IC galaxy right here, like you have below the bright star there.
Yeah.
IC 3381. And I saw it. I was like, oh wow, that's the IC galaxy.
Right.
You know, as I saw was this round, it almost looked like a faint planetary nebula. That's what I described it at.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the 4452 is just, it's amazing.
It's a really cool galaxy.
Yeah.
And this is one this is one that I don't even know if you need to see it under darker skies, because it'll probably just blind you, because it's just so, it's just so incredibly bright. But obviously it would be nice to see it under really dark skies. But yeah, I really like this galaxy a lot.
Right.
And this is kind of like what you were mentioning it earlier tonight, and I think I mentioned it last session that we did, which is just singling out some of these individual galaxies in Virgo.
Right.
Because you can get so overwhelmed by just how many there are,
Right.
and the clusters of them. And,
Right.
When you look through images, especially like I was mentioning before, I like to look in Vickers and just kind of flick around in there.
Right.
A lot of these galaxies that are part of even like in Markarian's chain or around there,
Yeah.
individually as standalones, they would just blow you away if that was like in another part of the sky. Like,
Right.
If this galaxy was in, Pegasus or something, right? You'd say like, oh my God, this is like freaking awesome.
Right.
Or, but it's just one of another.
Yeah, I guess we tend when we do Virgo tour is just to go from galaxy to galaxy, like galaxy hop,
Right.
and not really stop and change eyepieces and see what you can get out of the individual galaxy.
Right.
And I made that mistake too. Well,
Yeah,
we didn't do it that night. We were looking at individual galaxies.
Yeah, and that's why, like I said, when I look at the images, I go, oh my God, look at that galaxy. Oh, that's in Virgo. I probably never really saw it in detail. I probably saw it in a wide field view with 20 other galaxies in the, or 5 other galaxies in the same field. So yeah, it's kind of fun to pick one out and then just kind of hone in on it. So that's pretty much what I have. Although I do have one honorable mention again in Bootes. I forgot to go for this, so I want to go for this again next month, depending on how high it is. I don't have the declination on it, but this is a really cool pair of 2 edge-ons, and I did see these up at DS 4B that night. We were tracking them down, so it's NGC 5673 and this IC 1029, and they really make a nice pair.
Yeah.
In the eyepiece. So that's what I would go for.
Your plan for May, like with me with
Yeah, it's funny that you did the same thing, because I was thinking about for what are they doing, like TV shows like coming next month.
Right.
Here's stay tuned for May when Rob will go for IC 1029 and NGC 5673.
There you go.
Don't miss it. So anyway, that's, you know, these two are really cool edge-on, so I want to get them again. So that's it.
All right.
Good stuff. That that one galaxy you were just talking about there, you said it just looks like a dash of light across the eyepiece. Like you can see how evenly illuminated that is.
Yes. Yep.
That's what gives you that just slash of light. Versus any kind of modeling or anything like that. So I definitely want to check that one out.
Yeah, you'll
it almost looks like the visor image of Gort in
right in Day the
in the Day the Earth Stood Still. It's just this white streak going right. That's what I thought as soon as I saw it. I said, "Oh my God, it looks like Gort from the Day the Earth Stood Still."
Or a lightsaber from Star Wars, something like that, right?
Well, that'll save me having to watch either of those.
Well, they watch it now. Day the Earth Stood Still is a good one.
There you go. All right, what do you have, Josh?
All right, trying to run the share screen here. Am I sharing screen? No, not yet. Is it sharing?
Yep.
Cool. All right. So.
Oh, you're in a wormhole.
You're a wormhole. There's a gravitational effect there.
It's a warp, time warp.
Yeah.
What in the world? Okay, here we go.
Oh man.
All right.
Like
so these are the
family portrait.
Yeah, the family portrait.
The kids. The kids.
Well, I wonder if they make you know those little stick figure families you can put in the back window. I wonder if they make something like this. If I went to the right graphic artist, I'm like, I need these reproduced in little white stick figures. Yes, this is the family portrait. So use the 25-inch scope, and got a chance to go down to West Virginia, which was a 12-hour round trip, and I got about 45 minutes of combined clear skies, some in the beginning of the evening, some throughout the evening, and some right before astronomical twilight at dawn. And one of the highlights of that trip, even though it was a very short window of time to observe, was the ring. And of course, because we have to feature Josh's obscure universe, we've got to talk about IC 1296. So the ring was spectacular. The color variations that you see in this photo were seen in the eyepiece. Now, obviously, they were nowhere near as dramatic, nowhere near as bold, but that blue, Caribbean blue interior inner ring, and then you got these white regions right here at the top and bottom. They were almost had like a yellow hue to them, and then this outer region here that you see is bright red was a very pastel kind of pinkish red. And the central star was super obvious, very crisp, very clean. It was a beautiful view. But off here to the side of it is IC 1296, and I got a very good view of that central bar that runs right there, that central nucleus. It was definitely elongated, and I could even begin to pick up like the beginning of some of the hook, and then I could see the whole region surrounding those hooks. Averted vision, it really popped in clean, and with the ring tucked out to the upper edge of the field of view, I was able to get that in the 10 ethos. 13 ethos frames it up with room to spare, and really, really, really pretty view. It's neat. I love the layers of space when you're observing. You got this planetary that's within your own galaxy, and then way out beyond that is a whole nother galaxy. So that IC 1296, that always proves to be a bit of a challenge. You do need a fairly large optic. You're going to need transparent skies. Most importantly, you need dark skies. That's what's going to make that pop.
Would you say that was your best view of that galaxy that night?
No. I've had better views in Texas
Hmm.
and in New Mexico,
Okay.
but it was right up there with those views of it.
Okay.
I actually had a really good view of that one night from High Knob. A summer ago, and you got to have the transparency unless you have ultra dark skies.
Right.
If you don't have ultra dark skies and you don't have excellent transparency, you might be able to detect it, but you're not going to get
Much
the
so.
sense of view that you're looking at a whole nother galaxy.
Yep.
But without really sitting down and calculating it out, it was probably one of the top 10 views of it. It really stood out. It really popped. And just overall, the whole experience was beautiful. It was at the very end of the night, about 15 minutes before astronomical twilight was to begin. So the optic was thoroughly cool, totally equilibrated. The scene was very steady, and I could just get immersed in the view. As a matter of fact, I even used the Denk 2 bino viewers, and it was noticeably dimmer in the bino viewers than it was with the single eyepiece. But yeah, really, really good view. So the other highlight of the night, and again, it was a short night, so it made for a short list here. But the other highlight of the night was the supernova in NGC 5018, and this really stood out well. This popped, super obvious, and again, it's neat when you're just looking at different aspects in one eyepiece. You got your own field stars of your galaxy. You've got this whole other galaxy, and then you have an event that's happening in another galaxy. I mean, sometimes it's not what you see; it's what you see. And you're realizing, like, I'm watching something that's happening in a whole nother galaxy. And when I go back 2-3 months from now, probably won't see it. The event will be over.
Yep.
So, really fun view, crisp view. And supernova was super obvious. But what added to this was the field that this galaxy sits in. So here is a view of the surrounding field of NGC 5018. And you can see NGC 5022 sits over here right next to it. And in the 13 ethos, both of these galaxies were easily framed in the field of view.
Oh, cool.
Not a lot of room to spare, but
Yeah.
you could easily see them both. And it was neat to see the contrast between the two structures. You have the one that's, the round face on. You've got the other galaxy that's the edge on. And then, of course, you have the supernova that was in the NGC 5018.
Wow.
So it made for a really neat view. Two galaxies plus a supernova, and then to have the size and shape and structure in those two galaxies, it was just very aesthetically pleasing view. I did not spend any time hunting down any of these PGCs in the surrounding area.
Mm-hmm.
Just the conditions coming and going didn't allow me to really extend into that hunt, but I'm hoping this supernova still has some life left in it for the May dark window, and I'm going to look to explore some of these other galaxies around it. NGC 5006 caught my eye in this photograph.
Yeah.
With the structure in that I want to try and check out. But yeah, it was neat to get a supernova in. It was a short night, but an interesting night.
So do you know what time that supernova is rising right now? I mean, I know I can look that up. I just wasn't sure if it's, is it possible to get that one night before or after moonrise or moonset before the dark window begins?
It's up probably pretty high, probably around 11 o'clock or so.
So
I'm just curious if
it's in Libra, isn't it?
I mean, you would have to chase pretty far into the getting close to new moon. I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't really answer that question for you.
Okay. Yeah, I'll check it out.
Exactly of how the time frame would fall as it relates to the moon. But yeah, it's one that you're gonna want to get on sooner than later, because as is the nature of supernovas.
Well, that's why I was asking, because I
Yeah.
was thinking it might even be worth looking at it, even if the moon's coming up or is up, just to get a glimpse of it as a contingency. Even though it might be washed out or something, just to
Right.
see it.
Well, you're going to need to get a nice southern horizon, because it's like, was it 15 degrees south or something like that?
Yeah, DS1 would have that, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay.
Yeah, and I think probably the view was definitely enhanced by the lack of light dome.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
You
Right.
could go low and still keep that nice contrast that gave
Right.
the galaxies their size and shape structure, and let that supernova pop. The supernova, that would be, I think, fairly obvious regardless of how dark your skies are, because it's a pinpoint of light and it'll stand out. But to get that aesthetics of the edge on and the face on in the same field of view with this supernova blasting off and the face on it, was you're gonna want some dark skies for it.
Yep.
But, all right.
All right.
All I got.
All right,
Yeah.
Josh.
About 45 minutes of observing. That's all I got.
45-minute report for 45 minutes of observing.
Yeah.
No, that's good. Good stuff, Josh. I'm excited about that location.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Want to get down there.
Yeah, in your share there. All righty.
All right.
All
Hey, I'm
righty.
not- I'm not
anything
gonna
else to
hang.
add? Anything else to add, guys? But it seems like we all have, each of us have something to look forward to for May, for at least something, like that. Hopefully, May will be better than, May will be more like March was for us,
I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to clear skies.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, how many nights did you get out in March? Was it like 5 nights or something like that, Josh?
Yeah, I did
Yeah.
five nights in the March dark
Yeah.
window.
So April wasn't anything like it, but
So the average dropped down. I mean, we got nothing in February, and then I got 3 in March and 1 in April. So 4 frickin' observing nights in 3 months.
right.
That sucks.
Yeah.
April showers bring May flowers and astronomers' tears.
Right. So,
All right.
hey,
Well,
I'm gonna sign off. It's getting late here, and
Yeah.
I want to get to bed. But good job, good stuff, Karl, Josh. That was good.
yep.
All right.
Good for the Astro Observers. Take care, guys.
All right. See.